What is up, guys? I am bringing you a brand new race video, and this is from the first event in a 4-event series called the Fall Fling, run by ABR. This is one of my favorite events of the year, just because ABR does a really good job of putting it together. All 4 of the races are really enjoyable, except for the time trial. The time trial is the hardest event for me. I just can't pace myself well enough to do great in it. So this was the first crit, 3 crits, 1 time trial. Last year, I won 2 of the crits, took second in the 3rd one, and then just bombed the time trial. But by the time the time trial had come around, I had already locked up the overall win. So my goal for this year for the event was to try and win the criteriums and get the overall. So this is the first race, like I said. You can see the course is pretty easy. There's not really any corners involved. It's really just like a big old NASCAR track, except it's flat. And on this back half of the course here, there was some decent wind. My goal for the entire race was just to stay in the back of this group and watch for any moves. And hopefully the guys in the race cover them and I can just get on their wheel. Because as you can see, if I'm last wheel right now, the field is incredibly small. I believe we had 7 riders in this race. So it really was just kind of a game of cat and mouse. Guys would try and break away. The group would surge and catch them. They would sit up, and then we would just sit around for a few laps, which I was totally fine with. Because if I'm sitting around in the back of the pack, that means that I'm saving my legs for the final sprint. And I know that for the most part, I had the best sprint in the pack, which makes you feel pretty comfortable. After a couple of laps of this race, kind of shaking down the other guys in the race, I began to feel that, I had this one in the bag. As long as I didn't make any mistakes, and I just, was patient and didn't chase anything or didn't attack when I didn't need to, I was going to be fine. So you can see our pace surges here a little bit. We're moving at a decent click. Important to note, we do also have the tailwind on this portion of the course. So that's part of why our pace picked up. But like I said, most times when guys tried to break away in this race, nothing ever came of it. 1 or 2 guys would go, the rest of the group would surge and try and catch back up, and then we would just slow back down. So you can kind of see coming up right here on the back half of the course, we start to slow. And then this is a little bit later in the race, and this is actually kind of what the pace to me in my head felt like for the entire race. It felt pretty relaxed overall. I believe our average speed for the race was 23, which kind of blew my mind because every time I looked down, I felt like I saw 18 or 19 miles an hour, which is pretty relaxed pace for a race. But like I said, I was okay with that pace. Yeah, it's a little boring, but we only have 7 guys, so if we're not blazing fast just in a huge pace line, then it's going to be slow. And if it's going to be slow, I know that I can just sit in the back and wait to sprint, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, I knew that I had one of the best sprints in this pack, and that I was strong in that area. So right here you can see that 2 guys had a pretty decent gap, and I wasn't about to do all the work to catch up to these guys, so I made this guy who was next to me kind of push probably harder than he should have. He kept looking back to see who was with him, and I just kept telling him, go, go, come on, man, that's your wheel, you got to chase that down. So just kind of encouraging him so that I could sit on his wheel and we could catch back up to these 2 riders. Because these 2 riders that are up ahead are pretty strong if they can get away. The guy in the blue and black there on the right up ahead of us, really strong time trialist. This is the guy I was battling for back and forth for the whole event for first place on the overall. And then the guy in the yellow and blue there, he actually won a different race on a breakaway for the Masters category, and he broke away, or he attacked the first lap, stayed away the whole race. You guys will see that a little bit later this week because they raced with us in the Cat 4s. So we catch back up to these guys, and you can see immediately our pace just drops. I mean, 16, 17 miles an hour in a criterium is really, really slow. I'm not really sure if the two guys were expecting an attack just like straight away, but my buddy Pat Murphy here puts in a really strong effort. I knew that he was strong enough to stay away. This is pretty late in the race. We only have a couple laps left. So my reaction was a little delayed because I wanted to see if somebody was going to chase. Luckily, Tim here ends up chasing, and I'm able to get on his wheel. And again, just kind of make him do most of the work to pull us back up to Pat. Pat is a super strong rider. So I knew that if he was able to get a decent gap, that he was going to be able to stay away from us. Tim finally makes me do some work on the front, so I just put in a pretty big effort and try and coast up to Pat. Coming up into this turn, we do have a headwind, so I really just wanted to get on Pat's wheel so I wasn't sitting out in the wind, putting out more effort than I had to. So we do get up to Pat here. And as good a friend as Pat is, this was a race for us. This was the first event of the whole series, so I may have stuck him out there into the wind for quite a while, a few laps. So we're coming up here. This is the second to last lap, I believe. So we do get another attack, and again, I'm just sitting on wheels, knowing that we're going to pull these guys back in, and I'm okay with that. You can kind of see as we catch back up to the guy who attacked, we do slow down a little bit. Remember that we do have the tailwind again on that part of the course. So they put in another effort. The guy in front of me puts in a strong effort, and I really just want to stay on his wheel. These surges are normal for the end of a race, so it's something that is expected. So I'm able to just get in position, get the good draft going. And really, third wheel, fourth wheel at this point in the race with only 7 guys left is really where I want to be. I'm far enough up where I can cover any moves that might happen this late in the race, but I'm also far enough back where I'm getting a pretty good draft and able to save my effort. I mean, you can see right here we're going 21, 22 miles an hour, and I'm either coasting or putting out, 100 or less watts. So pretty comfortable at this point. Now we're coming around. I believe that as we come around this 2 corners here, it's going to be our last lap. So again, I knew we're together in the group. All I have to do is wait until the last couple corners to make a move, and I really just wanted to keep my nose out of the wind at this point. And you can see we're kind of moving to the left here towards the outside of the course, trying to force people into the wind. And it just really wasn't working. With as small of a field as we had, it was really it was going to be pretty difficult to force people to pull. With a bigger group, it's kind of easier to sink back through the group, but with only a few guys, if somebody wants you to stay on the front and they know how to do it, you're probably going to get stuck up there. So the guy that had put in the attack starts to fall back a little bit. We come across, and this is the bell lap here. So here's our last lap. I mean, good position overall. There's an attack on the right-hand side here that I'm trying to cover because I know that this guy's pretty strong. I know that he can stay away for a lap. And you can see he puts in super, super strong effort here and does get a bit of a gap. But I'm able to catch up to him in just a minute, and I see that Tim is coming up on my right, and I figure we're going to catch this guy, so I might as well just get on the wheel. Kind of slow rolled it a little bit just to get the draft on the headwind portion of this course. I could tell by our pace and the rider who tried to break on this last lap's pace that we were going to catch him, and I told Tim here as we're coming up to him, I said, hold on, let him sit in the wind for a little bit. Don't let him get back in the group before the end of the course. So we timed it pretty well. You can still see he's got a bit of a gap off the front here. And coming into this corner where it's more of a crosswind, we catch back up to him. Tim's doing a ton of work. And basically, I knew that as soon as we came around this upcoming turn that we had the tailwind. So as soon as we catch the rider, I just jumped and put in a hard effort around the corner. I know that coming around, seeing this yellow fire hydrant on the left is where the tailwind really starts to hit. So I just gun it as hard as I can. What my friends told me later was that nobody came with me except for Pat. The rest of the field just kind of sat up. And finally, I'm able to take the first place. I hope you guys liked it. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.